Welcome, traveler. My name is Winkari, and this is The Journey, a World of Warcraft podcast. A cozy stop along the road where we share stories, reflect on the world of Azeroth, and enjoy the game at our own pace. Pull up a chair, warm yourself by the fire, and let's begin. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of The Journey. My name is Winkari. Happy December, everyone. As of this recording is December 1st, 2025. December has finally arrived. Happy December. Happy belated Thanksgiving for those of you who also celebrate Thanksgiving. Mine was a decent one, pretty run-of-the-mill. I went to go spend some time with my parents and some relatives. We ate some turkey, played some games, like Sequence. Have you played that one before? Played some Sequence, and watched the Bears game. Big Chicago sports fan. I don't know if you guys are sports fan, but a miracle happened, and the Bears beat the Eagles. That was a fun one day after Thanksgiving. But overall, it was a good time with the family. And then just 2 days after Thanksgiving, we got our first big snowfall of the year here in Wisconsin. We got on Saturday night, all day Saturday into Sunday morning. Got a total of about, 12 to 14 inches of snow. So I'm looking out right now, and it is a winter wonderland. And just love it. Big fan of the snow. Love me some snow. I digress. In this episode, our episode 4, as the title says, we will be wrapping up the War Within. We will discuss the expansion as a whole, the goods, the bads, give an overall grade. We'll also be discussing our time in the 21st anniversary celebration and Pilgrim's Bounty. So, let's jump right into it with our first segment. Where in the world of Warcraft are we?
Yeah.
Ooh, up, oop, oops, oop, ooh, up, oop, oops, oop. Ooh, up, oop, oops, oop, ooh, up, oop, oop, oop. Where in the world of Warcraft are we? I'm currently sitting on a bench. A long wooden bench with golden cylindrical circles on the sides, elaborate weavings in the center, covered in some luscious red pillows. I'm looking out at a bunch of partygoers, standing around, socializing, eating and drinking, from a bunch of tables filled with food, candles that are levitating above the table. There is green grass, some beautiful golden, yellow trees and red foliage around. There's also what could only be described as a stairway bookshelf, spinning round and round and round. There are some red banners, some fireworks shooting up into the sky, a small building nearby with some blood elves standing in front of it. Everyone's having a good time. They're all on this terrace that is in the shape of a half moon. Have you figured it out? Your first clue probably should have been the music. But the second clue, in my mind, would be the partygoers. I must also say that there is, if you haven't figured it out yet, a giant green floating crystal with a face that's kind of etched and glowing in the center, kind of menacingly, with a fire that's kind of burning on the inside. We are in the world of Azeroth. Our continent is the Eastern Kingdoms. The zone is, the music's the giveaway, right? The Eversong Woods. And our location today is South Theral's Haven. If you're not familiar with this location, this is in the Blood Elf starting zone, And the reason I chose this location was because when I thought of Thanksgiving, eating at a big table, this is the first location that came to mind from questing here way back in the day. So I had to go hang out, and that is where we are in the world of Warcraft today. Before we move on, I have to mention that I played this game for years and have leveled many Blood Elves, but apparently I had never explored all of the areas of Eversong Woods and Ghostlands on one specific character. So, realizing this in my achievements, I spent the time that I was in this area to get 3 separate achievements: Explore Eversong Woods, Explore Ghostlands, and Eastern Kingdoms Explorer. Who knew after all these years I hadn't completed those, but I have now.
Do you bring news?
In today's news, I've got 3 things to discuss. First isn't really news as much as something that's new to me and relatively new to the community as well. If you guys haven't heard of this before, check it out on add-ons. It's the Homebound add-on. I heard of this, I think, a week-ish ago on one of the podcasts I listened to. I don't remember which. I don't know. I don't want to say. But one of the podcasts I listened to told me about this. Finally got around to downloading it, and it's a great addition to the game. It is essentially an add-on that helps you track your player housing rewards. Very convenient, right? For you to really know what goes towards what, and who knows, they may put this in the game very well come, release. But as of now, this is great. Download it for free, of course, and you can even add filters like what you've completed, what you've not, things that are done through achievements or quests or per specific faction. And as of now, there are what? Is there a full number? If I'm just eyeballing it here off just the top of my head, doing some fuzzy math, I would say 125-ish current player housing rewards that can be done by playing the game. So check that one out. Second is 11.2.7 goes live tomorrow. Tuesday, December 2nd. Again, we're recording this Monday, December 1st, but tomorrow, effectively 11.2.7 goes live. That is all sorts of fun stuff, including player housing, which I'm very excited about. So in case you live under a rock, that's going on tomorrow. We'll see when it actually gets pushed out, hopefully on time. So look forward to that one. And then third, the release date for Midnight has finally dropped. It is March 2nd of next year. There was a little kind of guffaw when they did their release video because they did the 3.2.26. And having lived overseas many times, it's very common to have the day first, then the month, then the year. But us over here in America, we reverse that because, of course, we do. So for us, we read that as March 2nd, but a lot of people who don't were a little confused as to, is this February 3rd or March 2nd? But if you're one of those people, a little confused, Blizzard probably should have known better, to be perfectly honest. Just write it out next time. That is March 2nd, and really excited for that to come out, and we will talk more as we get closer to that.
Welcome to the Trading Post.
In this month's Trading Post, essentially the items are, you guessed it, winter-related, but to be perfectly honest, they're pretty great. There is a lot of really cool additions to this month's Trading Post. I'm looking at my cart preview, and I don't think I've ever spent this much tenders in a single month. I'm currently sitting at 8,570 chicken tenders. And it looks like I'm about to spend 2,970. It's not too shabby, eh? Some of the highlights for me, Reigns of the Soaring Sky Fox. It's another skin, but it's wintry. It's pretty cool, and it kind of looks like there's a second seat. I don't know until I actually purchase it or not. Maybe it's not. And then there is a really cool Noble Winter collection that I think looks pretty great as a transmog. Next is, there's a ground mount, the Kaluak. Am I saying that right? Crest horn. Just imagine, what's his name? Sven? Is it Sven? From Frozen? Imagine that, with all the trimmings and cool things on top. Highly recommend that one. There's a pet of Bundled Up Bob. Little cutie butt, as I like to say. There are some returning items as well, some that I didn't have yet that I am going to get, which is the two-handed tree topper. It's a staff, and it's essentially what it sounds like. It's kind of like the North Pole on one end, and then it's a Christmas tree on the other, and I just have to have that one for the Christmassy look. Then there's a Christmassy shield, the Aegis of Yuletide, which I don't have, so I'll probably get that one for my paladin. And then finally, there is a set of earmuffs, basically Horde or Alliance, and being the Alliance guy that I am, I'm going to get the Lion's Crest earmuffs, but essentially items like that, crystally, frosty weapons to your heart's delight. We've got that to look forward to in this month's Trading Post. Before we move on to the next segment, I have to let you know, as I was looking at the items from this month's Trading Post, I walked nearby to the cart that's in Stormwind in this Trading Post area, and I saw that there was a book lying in the center of the cart with a very interesting cover. If you go and look at my Twitter page, that is Journey WoW Pod, I put the image up there of essentially a man kissing a woman's hand, but her arm has detached, broken off, and he's just kissing the hand of the detached limb of this woman. I'm assuming this is just supposed to be humorous, but is this a reference to something that I am unaware of? Please let me know. Either email me at thejourneywowpod@gmail.com or go check out the Twitter to see that and comment there, please. I need to know.
Greetings, traveler.
If you shift J when you play the game, you'll bring up your traveler's log, and in this month, it's December Frozen Hearts is what it says at the top there, and essentially it's similar to last month. You get 100 chicken tenders as you move along with travel points, and then at the end for 1,000, the gift, the prize, the thingy mabob at the end is the Sapphire Resonating Crystal Flying Mount, which essentially is just another version of a scarab. I mean, kind of a meh gift, to be perfectly honest. And I'm also noticing that Blizzard seems to be getting into this habit of having just another skinned version of what is in that month's Trading Post as one of the mounts. And this is no exception. So if you go in there, it's the same thing at the Trading Post, just a different skin. Like, could they do better? I'm thinking they can.
The future is ours to forge.
As we take a look at the calendar for December, if you haven't already done so, make sure you check out the 21st anniversary event, which we're going to cover later in the show. That one ends pretty soon, about 1 week from today, or 1 week from yesterday, rather. That's Sunday, December 7th. So if you haven't jumped in to participate in those many events and transmogs and toys and achievements, etc., make sure you do so by Sunday, December 7th. That is right outside the Caverns of Time in Tenaris. Second is the Wanderers Festival. That is December 7th and 8th. And to be perfectly honest, I have no idea what this is. I'm guessing it's Pandaren related because I'm reading it now. It says, celebrate and honor Lu Lang and Shenzin Su at Turtle Beach in Krasarong Wilds? ? It is a time for contemplation and song. If you say so, calendar. I don't know what this means. I will mark it on my personal calendar, and I will report back and let you know what it's all about, especially if you haven't done it. But that is December 7th and 8th. I think it's a 24-hour period, something like that. Check your calendar. Then finally, Feast of Winter Veil. That is returning, of course, as it does every year, December 15th through January 2nd. That just about does it for our housekeeping. Let's move on to our adventures in Azeroth.
As always, we have much to discuss.
As the title of our episode says, this is the episode we will be wrapping up the War Within. Anything that we haven't finished, that we're trying to finish before this new patch comes out. And before I wrapped up some of these quests, achievements, check marks that I wanted to do for the War Within expansion, I remembered that I had not done the Earthen starting zone. So, I rolled one myself. His name is Greygold, and here it is.
Before Magni's sacrifice, we Earthen were bound by our innate purpose. Stagnant traditions nearly brought us to ruin. We must embrace the call of change. Azeroth is growing, and we need to grow with her. Now is the time to discover who we are.
As I began my journey as an Earthen, I realized that the opening of their starting zone reminded me a lot of the opening starting zone experience of the Drakthir. You have this kind of similar underground awakening from slumber. Like, I don't know, felt a little recycled, to be perfectly honest. It also started out really flat, because you show up, they tell you to stand on a diagnostic scanner, and I did that. Nothing happened. I was like, what am I doing wrong? I traversed the entire room, tried it on these different spots, nothing happened till I went back to the regular circle, and then realized that you're supposed to press a button to touch it once you stand on it, and it doesn't show up like an action bar item, it's like a hand button. Kind of an anticlimactic start, to be perfectly honest. If that wasn't enough, the first 10 minutes are very slow. No fighting, no action, you're just answering a bunch of questions about your past, which in concept sounds cool, kind of like a D&D background, but it doesn't really do anything for your character, it just kind of feels like filler. And I realized before leaving that specific area, there was this helpful Hallbot in the corner that had a bunch of lore bits. So if you're a lore person, definitely check that out. You're not even directed to them. It's just sitting off in some corner in like a cavern that moves off but doesn't. If you want to go check that out, learn more history about the Earthen, that would be the place to go. But the rest of the underground area, you just spar with a bunch of Earthen. We've done that before. You battle an out-of-control, droid thing. We've done that before. And then you're on your way. Before you leave, there's a Navigations of the Soul book that's lying on a stone nearby. One little lore bit reading. It's a log of Dawn, a character there, who's been basically guiding you throughout the starting zone, and not really that interesting, to be perfectly honest. And at the end of it, you take a portal to Stormwind instead of just going out the front door. There's this giant door, and instead you just take a portal, and then once you show up in Stormwind, there's a pop-up quest telling you that you need to go to the Dragon Isles because it awaits you. Okay. You meet a Stormwind emissary, he welcomes you, and then you talk to an Earthen named Adhelda, who tells you to choose your own path, and that's it. I mean, I'm sorry, but this was a big fail for me as a starting zone. It's like the race was an afterthought, to be perfectly honest, and they clearly didn't put the resources into it. It seamlessly told a compelling narrative, or rather, seamlessly should have told a compelling narrative to usher the race into the overall story, do it justice, but it doesn't do that. I looked at my logs of the other starting zones thus far, and by comparison, the last 3 racial starting zones I did lasted at least 4 to 5 hours for me to complete. This one, 30 minutes. If that doesn't tell the story, I don't know what does. For me, overall grade for the Earthen starting zone is an F. And with that bad taste in my mouth, I decided to move on. Let's move on, shall we? I was in Kazavesh, and I realized that I hadn't completed some of the warrants. So I went to do Grubber, which was really a very convoluted quest, and I realize they do this for all of them, but just as an example, to do this quest, you obtain a bunch of other items from other quests to then do the quest, which is to bring out the warranted creature. Yeah, get a dozen Veil Shards, which made me find some rats that scurried away, made me find some stash of stolen Veil Shards, kind of tedious. Finally got the items to lure him out, went to kill him, didn't get the reward, thought that was weird, and then later realized I never lured him in the first place, he was just actually sitting there, because the item they gave me was in my bag, and I had to go and apparently use the item, but nothing told me to do that in-game. So I had killed the spawn that was already there and had to use the item and do it all over again. Meh. And then after finishing the quest, I had to look online to learn that you can only do one warrant a week. So I couldn't just jump into the other ones. So I had to, over the course, do the other ones that I wanted to do. So I next, after that time, did the quests, killed Shatter Pulse, and this awarded me the achievement Bounty Seeker for completing 4 warrants and awarded me the pet Starlight. Pretty cool. It just so happens that at this time I saw a Wowhead post that mentioned an add-on called Almost Completed Achievements that you should check out if you haven't. It's what it sounds like. If you're close to completing an achievement, it shows right up next to your achievements by pressing Y. And you can do that. Download it. It's free, and you can see kind of where you're at and all sorts of filters. Definitely recommend that one. Next, I bought some toys from Tazavesh, thinking that they were toys. Curator Vecca sold me the Trusty Copper Racer, Heavy Copper Racer, Zippy Copper Racer, Paper Zeppelin Kit, Grind Gear Toy Gorilla, until I realized that they were all one-time use items. Wah, wah. Yeah, very underwhelming. Thought they were toys. They were not. You were warned. Next, I went to do the thing that I had been putting off for a while, and that's Kaiveza. I had tried it once, got completely demolished, said, I'll come back to this. So this was the time. I tried it. I tried it again. Tried it a few times. Realized this just isn't for me. It's too twitchy. It's too difficult. I'm done. But there was this voice in the back of my mind that said, you can do better. I finally caved, watched a YouTube video guide to assist me in the mechanics. I did it a few more times, was still pulling my hair out, and I was about to give up when I was able to make it through one iteration of the mechanics of the fight. And at that point, I had showed myself at that point I could do the mechanics. I put my head down, kept plugging away, and finally downed her on something like the 20th attempt. Yeah. It was difficult. Check out my Twitter. There's a picture there of me downing Kaiveza. You do get the achievement, but you say he's just a friend. And then, after putting that picture and post on my Twitter, I really reflected that this is the hardest fight I've ever done in WoW. It felt very accomplished, right? It felt very good having done it, but personally, I think content like this is just too difficult for the average player, truly. It's either too difficult or if you're going to keep it that difficult, don't make us do the iteration of mechanics like, I think it was 5-ish times to complete the fight. Maybe a couple, maybe 3. I think it just simply goes on too long. That's my 2 cents. Next, I moved on to the Ecological Succession quest line. I said we were going to come back to that, was going to come back to that with some thoughts. Oh boy, and do I have some thoughts. I will start out by saying that I am just not a fan. There was a specific quest that brought me to Nagrand, and the end of this giant quest line, I was literally told to bring back snakes, and at one point, walk up to Hemet Nezingwary's downed plane and retrieve them. I literally walked over, I picked them up, and I turned it in. It's called Snakes on a Plane. I'm not making this up. It felt lazy. It felt like a cheap quest that just highlights overall how poorly conceived ecological succession is as a quest line. I will say, however, I did come across an NPC during my travels in one of the ecodomes that I thought was Totoro adorable, as I like to say. Love the character design. If you want to see it, check out my Twitter. It's a really cool character. It's a cross between a mailbox and Alpha 5 from Power Rangers, if you get that reference. If you want to see the picture, go to my Twitter at JourneyWowPod. You can see that there. In the end, I received the Otherworldly Ecologist Achievement for getting all the species settled into the ecodome, but I didn't bother doing any more of them because I realized that none of the continuing achievements rewarded anything. I mean, what's the point? This leads us to today's Dear Blizzard. Dear Blizzard, one of the reasons we play an MMORPG is because of the RPG. Please don't forget that. Ecological succession quests aren't really quests. They're a bunch of tasks to be completed. A checklist of repetitive, monotonous activities designed to simply occupy our time and keep us playing longer. AKA, keep us subscribed. The reality, however, is that you don't need things like this to keep us subscribed. Just make good content, with good stories, good quests, and good experiences. One of the reasons I left Guild Wars 2 was because of its use of Renown Hearts. Instead of traditional quests, you do tasks just like these over and over and over again. Their entire game is littered with them, and the novelty quickly wears off. Not only that, but part of the definition of role-playing is that you get to do and be things that you can't in real life. Scrubbing animals, taking pictures, watering plants, and pulling roots is not role-playing. It's more simulation playing. It's fine if you want to put that in other portions of the game for those that really want to have their own WoW version of a Harvest Moon or Animal Crossing, but not in storied questing. I understand that it's much easier to create a bunch of tasks to be completed because it takes less time, less resources, and less effort. The reality, however, is that I play WoW because I like to quest. I like to have a story, a narrative, a motivation. Don't fall into the trap of these rinse-repeat checklist quests like these because it's the easiest to churn out and replicate over time. Take the time to make questing that's worthy of the Blizzard name. Ultimately, ecological succession felt like it was an idea that was handed to a random middle schooler who presented their own good ideas, and Blizzard said, "Sounds good." After hearing and reading similar responses from other players and content creators, I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. Please learn from its poor reception and don't replicate this type of questing in the future. Sincerely, Winkari. Next, I consulted my By the Way Quests add-on to let me know if there were any quests that I needed to complete to finish them all, so to speak, and while doing so, I came across the rare Hungerer of the Deeps in the Ringing Deeps. Ended up killing him, and this actually gave me the achievement Adventurer of the Ringing Deeps. And this was for completing 10 special encounters across the zone. Next, I came across a cave where you need to kill all the roots to spawn a rare Trungle, which was kind of cool. Next, I moved to level my Dornagal rep to 21 to do the final quests there. And to do so, in the process of getting my rep to 21, which I was pretty close to already, I killed Shallow Shell the Clacker, and this also gave me an achievement. The Adventurer of the Isle of Dorn for killing 10 rares. So, killed some more, got to 21, went to the Proscenium, and completed the second to last quest in all of the War Within, and got another achievement, a Star of Dorn. This was for unlocking all the actor perks for the theater troupe. On my next login, I was hoping to come across the rare Takatketh. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. This is a rare that I've been trying to have spawn. The entire expansion never has. And guess what? It finally spawned. I was hoping people could help me fight this mob, this monster, this rare, but no one was there, so I thought, what the heck, let's try it. I was able to solo him. You can see that on my Twitter. And then went to turn in the quest, and the game glitched on me. This doesn't happen very often, but the glitch was particularly in the City of Threads, and it allowed me to swim in the air. True story. I would just lift up in the air as if I'm in water, and then start running like the bottom of an ocean or swimming in the open air in that zone. You can check that also on my Twitter if you don't believe me. Check that out there. Next, I had to gather 1,500 Nerubian chitin as part of this quest line. Boy, talk about a grind. Wowhead said to run the first part of City of Echoes, and you would get 80 a run. So do your math, right? I needed to do this like 18, 20 times. I split this up over days. Boy, was it grueling. And if that wasn't enough, the next quest line had me gather even more of another item, which required me to camp 2 mobs over and over and over again as they respawn. So while I would wait, I'd go and kill creatures around me. One of them was a rare, the Abyssal Devourer, and it actually gave me the Adventure of Aj Kahet achievement. This was for killing 10 rares in that zone. Finally, I got to the 3rd quest line. Guess what I had to do? I had to gather 500 blood. It's insane. I had to run City of Echoes again, fully through 5 times, finally finish this darn quest line. And when I went to turn it in, the NPC you turn it in uses those ingredients on his alchemy assistant, turning them into one of the Ascended, and then that ends up being your reward. This Ascended Beast Mount creature Seasbarg, I don't know. That's your mount. You can also see that on my Twitter if you want to see that there. What's interesting is when you go back into the shop where you finish this quest, there's a wooden box contraption that's replaced the character, Seasbarg, that has flasks and golden liquid, and it's literally called Seasbarg's Replacement. Now that's pretty funny. Overall, this felt like quite an achievement, to be honest. Even though I hated the grind of it, it did feel like an achievement, kind of like the Kaiveza, but I will still say I really hope that Blizzard doesn't put this much repetitive grind behind a mount like this in the future. Just wasn't a huge fan. After all that was all said and done, I actually stumbled on another quest. When I thought I was done with all quests, this one popped up for me. I don't know why, but it was there. And it wasn't in the By the Way quest add-on, which was interesting. It's called Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, which happens to be our quest that was the best.
I am having the best time.
Now, for those of you who may not be familiar, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy is a famous novel that was subsequently turned into a TV series, but then famously a film with kind of a who's who of dude actors. Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, Mark Strong, Tom Hardy, John Hurt, Benedict Cumberbatch. Kind of a nice little nod there. In this quest, you hunt down Misk the Venom Tongue, who's basically kind of this out for himself, double-crossing type personality who really just is out there to get what he wants. And to find him, to do so, you have to talk to 4 different NPCs around the City of Threads, gathering clues, and one of them, when you talk to them, even says, "Weren't you taught not to talk to strangers?" And then they attack you. Kinda cool. Eventually, you bring the information back to the Weaver, which has traveled just outside the city limits, dangling from her web. It's a cool little set piece where she's dangling there from her web at the edge of the city limits. And you bring this information to her. She tells you need to get a drink to get on the good side of Misk. So you do so. You go to his location, and the bouncer of sorts says, "Hey, you can pay me 1,000 gold to bypass the drink, or you can just go get the drink," which is a short ride away, which of course I did. And then after talking to him, after of course giving the drink, he agrees to come talk to you at the appointed location by the Weaver. Right before he gets there, he sees that cute little spider spindle, a little cutie butt. He chases right after it, right into the hands of the Weaver. There, she tells him off, tells him basically who's who, and then calls her spider babies to wrap him up for dinner, and they pounce on him. Kind of a fitting end for his character. You meet up back with the Weaver at the other part of the zone, And what's interesting is she tells you at the end of it she doesn't really care for matters of fickle morality, quote unquote. And that she only really did it because he was invoking Queen Nephris's name for his own gain and put one of her weave rats in danger. My reward was the Weaver's Trove, which sounds cool, but it only really contains some gold. But also had a nice epilogue that was voiced by the Weaver that wraps up her storyline and even gives an achievement, Leave It to Weaver. So if you haven't done that one before, I highly recommend it. That is Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spider. If I said spy earlier, I meant to say spider. Based on spy, but Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spider. That is our quest that was the best. With that all said and done, I'm finally able to give you my verdict on the expansion as a whole, as we're about to jump into the prologue patch for Midnight. I've kind of done and seen all I've wanted to, enough to give you my verdict here. Let's break it down, shall we? Zone-wise, The War Within had some pretty good ones. I particularly enjoyed the Isle of Dorn, Hallowfall, and Undermine, with Hallowfall being my favorite zone of the expansion. I think most people will probably agree with me on that one. Great art design, great variety, great narrative that pushes you through the zone. Undermine's design itself was really great, like the immersion of it, but I didn't really care for how many buildings and how kind of crammed it felt, especially when you're trying to drive. I think you needed more open space. I also kind of wish the Galagio was accessible outside the raid. Am I the only one that feels this way? It would have been a really cool area to go in and do quests, etc. I would have liked to have seen that. As for the ones I didn't care for, that would be Ringing Deeps, Ajkahet, Siren Isles, and Kazavesh. With Ringing Deeps being my least favorite. It's just too samey. The entire environment bleeds together, doesn't have a lot of variety. And I'm also finding that the zones that take us away from the main zones of an expansion, they just seem too disjointed for me. So things like Siren Isles, Kazavesh, right? They kind of take you away from the main kind of continent that you might be, questing in. I think it also further fractures the player base into more areas rather than congregating them into one main area, which I like. I like it when they are built into the existing continent or land that expansion is. Overall, as an expansion, I must also say I really don't like underground zones. That's a personal preference, but I just don't like them, and I think they should be used sparingly, and I think that was one of the drawbacks of this expansion, is that it was an entire focus, right, being within, and just being enclosed, the big old roof on my head, so to speak. Please use those sparingly in the future, Blizzard. As for the goods, the Delves were an amazing addition, fantastic repeatable content with variety and good PvE option, of course, especially for solo players. I think the art direction and zone design is improving in this game, Hallowfall being a prime example. I liked the action focus of the main story, even if it did meander at times, alongside Anduin's character arc. I mean, that end scene with him and Thrall looking over the horizon outside Dornogal was a great bookend set piece, really enjoyed that. I think the dungeons and raids were decent in this expansion. Lore walking is a great addition to retell lore that we may have missed, to tie into current or upcoming content. I think Xalatath makes for a great main villain, and like I said earlier, Anduin's narrative arc is definitely one of the goods for me. As for the bads of the expansion, as we heard earlier, the Earthen starting zone was terrible, just terrible. The oversaturation of underground zones, like I mentioned, some zones being disconnected from the main content. Dastardly Duos was a dud. The World Soul, Memories, and Flames Radiance felt super flat, grindy, repetitive. And here's a personal thing. Too many renown tracks, especially with multiple for each zone, like the Severed Threads packs and the Goblin Cartels of Undermine. I am not a fan of when we go into a zone and you might have, one, maybe two renown tracks, but then to add like 3 or 4, that's just too much. Just too much. So, what did I think overall? The War Within was a really good expansion. I truly believe that just from the delves being added alone really bumps up the quality of this expansion. Just that alone. Overall, I would give the War Within expansion a grade of a B+. After wrapping up the content I wanted to with the War Within, I moved on to the anniversary event, the 21st to be specific. And last year, I do remember this happening, but I wasn't really playing it that much at the time, so I think, if I remember correctly, I think I just flew there and kind of flew out. So this year I had the opportunity to finally dive in and see what it was all about. I started at the stage, obviously. For those of you who don't know, my undergrad was in theater, so it would make sense, right? I really enjoyed, honestly, RPing for the first time. I've never done it in the game, and I think this was my first dose of it. Sitting in the audience with other players, taking in the show. I also liked how you were able to participate by making noises, throwing items, etc. I thought that was pretty cool. So, did that, saw all 3 shows, and got the achievement Avid Listener. I really liked that you could access the videos from every expansion in that area from Historian Cortagosa. Is that something that's permanently in-game? Because if not, I think that should be accessible. Because if my memory serves, in Final Fantasy XIV, you could watch videos from your room, if my memory serves. So someone let me know if this is in-game. If not, Blizzard, please put this option in. It's very good to know that it's there. I also really enjoyed that the main characters from all over Azeroth and other lands were in this section. They were all congregated in one place. And I'd like to see them do this more often in-game. It makes the world feel more alive rather than them just kind of standing in one location in the entire world. You kind of see them travel, and it provides a sense of progression, if you will, because when you interact with them, they actually reference past events and sometimes mention what they're up to now. Which is kind of hard for someone like me who hasn't played certain expansions because I have no idea what the heck they're referencing, but I like that idea and I want them to do more. Next, I did Mount Mania. It's a section where you go to another stage where they ask you to mount up to 15 random mounts if you have them, and it keeps a tally of how much you've done out of the 15. I think the most I ever got was 4. I'm fairly certain I only have like 80-ish mounts, so I'm not the guy to do this one, but I did get the achievement. I have that one. That one's, just for getting one. Not hard, but I got it. I think this is a great way to reward mount collectors. And I think it also drives you to want to get more. You get to see what's out there, right? So, big fan of that one. Hope it comes back. I actually did put in here in my notes, 85 total mounts. There you go. 85. But again, after the trading post, I think that's 87, but I digress. Next, I did the Timely Gatecrashers quest, where you kill 3 world bosses, and after killing them, I got another achievement, the Gatecrashers. I also got weapon and armor upgrades, as well as the Doomwalker trophy stand toy, which will definitely go in player housing. I got the Illidari Doomhawk flying mount, which was nice. Killing Lord Kazak. Or Kazak? Kazak? You say potato, I say potato. That got me the little Kaz's hilt pet. Got a pet from that one. I then moved on to do the sleuthing quest line. There's many of these. You use an idol to find clues for an NPC, and this could have been a really cool quest line, to be honest, but it wasn't. You complete the first leg, you get an idol toy. Next quest gives you a torch where you search for more clues, like a red gem showing up in the Eye of the Ruins, which is kind of cool. And the third quest gives you a tricked out thinking cap toy, and also the Tools of Trade achievement. After this, though, I didn't bother doing all these clue quests. Apparently there's like 4 or 5 chapters, but I had issues getting them to work, finding proper items in proper zones. I flew all the way to Dragonflight, and something was glitching. I don't know. I just stopped and gave up. Wasn't for me moving on unless they could fix that. Maybe next year. I continued my circle around the events in this zone, and I happened upon a gold balloon. Well, it didn't happen upon a gold balloon. It was a balloon vendor, but essentially these different colored balloons shoot out and you get to grab onto one. Kind of silly, kind of fun. It gives you a bird's eye view of the event. It really reminded me of the end of Mary Poppins 2. Have you seen that movie? There's a song at the very end called Nowhere to Go But Up. Reminded me of that one. But do it anyway, even if you haven't seen the movie and if you don't care about doing the silly things, because you get an achievement. That is the Balloonist achievement. Next, I did the Fashion Frenzy event where you transmog and then you cast your votes. Usually not very good at this, but I got another achievement, Fashion Critic. And completing this event pushed me over the top for the Traveler's Log, which was convenient, giving me the prize turkey mount from last month. Too bad that it's a ground mount. Next, I came upon Chromie, who had a Chromie's Codex quest, which essentially has you jump into an LFG scenario-type raid where you visit old Silithus and do a few world events that culminates in a fight. The one I happened to do was Tichondrius. I mean, it was okay, nothing too special, nothing to see here sort of thing. Really not compelled to do any more of them. Later, I found a random chest in the area of the anniversary event that had a pet mirror in it that I used to turn me into the appearance of the pet that I had. And by doing so, got the achievement Pet Mischief. So do that one if you haven't, if you want to get an easy achievement for that one. And then finally, there's 3 portals at the festival that take you to random locations. I couldn't figure out what they were for until I looked at my achievements tab, which told me to get an achievement for visiting all 10 of the vistas. Unfortunately, in one of the first ones I did, it glitched and the portal back completely vanished, which was quite unfortunate for me, leaving me high and dry in some other expansion I'd never been in before. And then I had Hearthstone to the area I didn't want, and then get all the way back. So it is what it is. Overall, this was a really fun... Is it a holiday event? Do we call it a holiday? I don't know. It's an event. I really enjoyed it. I think minus the sleuthing, questing, chapter stuff that really meandered and didn't quite work all the time, was confusing, hard to follow. I would say besides that, everything else I really enjoyed. I would give the anniversary event an overall grade of an A-. And finally, as holiday events are concerned, we had the Pilgrim's Bounty. This is one that I don't think I've ever participated in. I remember it of years past, but I don't think I've ever really engaged it. For this one specifically, I participated outside Stormwind because I just love Stormwind, even though I was a night elf when I did this. And I began doing so by doing the Sharing a Bountiful Feast quest. You had to eat 5 portions of each food, but you could also pass the plate, which took a while to understand how it exactly worked. And overall seemed kind of unnecessarily confusing, if I'm honest. I wasn't really sure what purpose it served, but I did get the Sharing is Caring achievement. This was for passing each dish at the bountiful table, so make sure you do that one. And then next I made 5 spice bread stuffings for the next quest. It was kind of nice seeing everyone doing the same thing alongside me. And then moved on to 5 pumpkin pie. But for me to do so, I had to have my classic cooking up to 100, so without realizing I could have done it in the event, I went to the auction house, I bought the cheapest ingredients to do so, got to 100, and at that point I was really ready to abandon the rest of the quests because I didn't want to waste my time and money to do them to get the cooking up and up and up and up. And then I realized, oh, it's designed this way. The quests are designed to get your cooking up over time. So I did this over and over again for each quest there. Got the Expert Cook achievement. That got me to 225 classic cooking, and eventually got the Now We're Cooking achievement, which was for cooking up every dish. This got me to level 295 of classic fishing, and if you're familiar, the max is 300. So I first tried buying an auction house recipe for something, and then I flew to Swamp of Sorrows to catch fish, but that was taking too long, so instead I just coughed up the money to get a salmon recipe and then ingredients for that until I did reach level 300 in Classic Cooking, and I got the achievement Classic Cook. At the end of the quest line, you get a turkey collar that is reusable, but it's not a toy. I'll never understand why Blizzard will give us these things that we can't use as a toy. Doesn't make sense to me, but after I completed all the quests, I did receive my final achievement, Pilgrim's Progress, which, if you're not familiar, is named after a book. Overall, Pilgrim's Bounty was an enjoyable mini-holiday. I would give it an overall grade of a B-. And with that, our time together comes to a close. Don't worry, we will have one more episode before the new year, so you have that to look forward to before Christmas in a couple weeks. And then we'll start brand spanking new in a new year with another episode. Make sure you listen all the way through to the end of this episode for bloopers from yours truly. And if you like what you hear and you'd like to keep traveling with me, be sure to follow the journey wherever you listen. I'd appreciate that. And also, please rate and review.
Tell others of me.
I'd really appreciate if you could do this. This helps our show get more discovered by people, which is very important as a new podcaster. And if you write a review, I'll even read it on the show. You can also find me on Twitter and YouTube at The Journey WoW Pod. And if you want to provide any feedback or ask a question for me to answer on air, you can email me at thejourneywowpod@gmail.com. Special thanks to Blizzard, as usual, for our in-game music and sound, and to you for listening. I'll see you next time when the journey continues. In today's No. So I must say, as the starting zone starts out, that's redundant, I did finally receive the otherworldly ecological, or I can speak, blah blah. This was for completing 110 special, 110, no, that's not correct. Just so happens that this gave me the Adventure of Oz Kahet. Oz Kahet, what am I talking about? Silithus? I got myself to 295 in Classic Cooking? That's it! Pilgrim's Bounty. Pebby Babby. Oh my gosh.